Okay, so I'd like to welcome everyone to the first Lunch with Luke session, in which we'll start to cover, how you can shortcut the branding process and make life a little bit easier when trying to make decisions on what sort of brand you want to bring to market. My name's Luke Richards. I am a 20-year veteran of the digital branding space. My expertise lays mainly in domain names, and for the last 5 years, I've been working across the trademark space as well. One of the things that a lot of clients come to me with is we've decided on a brand name. We want this. Can you help us get it? And most often, my answer is no. And the reason for that is because in the domain world, every single domain name, every single word in the English language is now a domain name. The average length is something like 17 characters. So, and that's not even starting looking at trademarks around the world. There's generally quite a tight relationship between trademarks and domains. So what happens is that people start with a name, do a whole heap of work internally to get everyone on board for a name, and then they start to do the due diligence on whether or not that's something that can be used. When what we should be doing as people who work in branding is ruling out the things that we can't use pretty quickly, and ruling in the things that we can use. So today I'm going to take you through one way of very quickly checking whether or not a brand is available to use, using a tool that we have called the naming tool. There are other ways that you can go around doing that, and I'll probably talk about those very briefly at the end, but they generally will involve 6 or 7 steps, whereas this is just one. Okay, so we're looking at our naming tool. This is something that we've built ourselves. It looks at the major trademark registers, looks at major domain names, business classes, and can give you alternate spelling. So for now, I'm going to look at a domain name called brand name called Top of the Pile. And I better put that in there. And this is an app. Okay, so we're going to name it. What this is doing now is having a look at some categories, some trademark categories, and we're going to suggest that it's computer software, scientific, and electric products. That works pretty well. And then we're going to select the results. And boom. Here we go. Okay. Here is the status check. All right. So what we can see here is, the domain name in the GTLD, topofthepile.com, that's been taken. But we've got net, we've got org still available. The good news is that right here, we have green lights on all of the major trademark registries. And we can also have a look here as to whether or not there are other things that may be confusingly similar. Now, what this means is that if this was all red, I'd be able to very quickly go, no, I can't use that brand. In the area that I'm looking at, there's already someone who is similar or the same. However, what is concerning, it's like, okay, well, topofthepile.com, that's not available. So let's have well, there we go. I can buy it for $4,000. Is that within my budget? If it is, bang, I can already pretty much turn around and say that this domain name is available, or this name is available for us to use. Now, let me just get back to where I was. Back to the naming tool. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. What if I am someone who makes barbecues, and in Australia we have our shortened version, we call it a barbie. Now, as most of you know, Mattel also have a popular toy named Barbie. And I'm going to put cooking in here because I think that might be easier. Let's have a look. Houseware products. Let's just choose that for the moment. Let's push it down. Let's have a look at the status check. All right. Straight away, we can see that there's no domain names. There is only one place in the world that I can register a trademark, and everywhere else is that's major is blocked. Interestingly enough, it's giving me some additional spellings. Maybe I'd like Barbie. That might be a good idea. Let's have a look at that. Well, there we go. As I said, Barbie.com, the domain name space is pretty saturated, but there is only one mark in the US. So that may be worth something that you want to put on your maybe pile. The key issue around when you look at this is, not only is a trademark available, is the domain name available? And if it's not, can I acquire it? And in my next session, we'll start to look at how you go about evaluating a domain name for acquisition. As we saw just before, sometimes it's easy, they're up for sale, and sometimes, let's have a look what happens when we click this. It's not. So as we can see here, this is a business. They may not want to sell their domain name. But they may, they don't. It looks like a pretty small business. So if you've got a reasonable amount of budget aligned, maybe throwing some money at these people will be like all their Christmases just come at once. Is there anyone there who might have a suggestion of a name that they might like me to check?
Wonder Woman.
All right, that'd be interesting. And what is your Wonder Woman product?
Let's say it could be services. Who knows? Cleaning services or.
Okay. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at. I might just change that. Okay, let's just check this one. The class 3. There we go. Now I'm pretty sure what's going to happen. Okay, so with this particular brand, if you're in Australia, we'd have to have a look at whether the .com.au is available, but I'm pretty sure that it would be not available, given I understand that Disney/DC now would own the majority of these. But that being said, in your particular class, provided you weren't, in my opinion, not legal, using any of their imagery, in theory, you may be able to use this mark. That being said, when you talk about Disney, when you talk about Mattel, you can get into dealing with some of the most litigious companies that will just defend their brands no matter what. So it's probably not best to poke that bear. But as you can see from sort of running through a number of examples here, let's have a look. This is another app that I've been thinking about, and this is to help people really save money, even though it's called I Spend Dollars. And let's have a look. Okay, well, there we go. iSpendDollars.com's available. We have a lot of availability in trademark space. So for this domain name, for this app that's trying to help people, save money and not spend and curb their spending habits, I Spend Dollars is a viable brand. The beauty of this tool is that, as you can see, I've literally just used, half an hour, a couple of minutes to take a look at what that looks like. Now, if I was to go somewhere else, and do this, I would need to go to a registrar to check the domain names. I would need to go to a trademark registry to check the trademark validity. And even then, if I was in Australia, I'd probably only go to Australia, but I may need to look around the world. So the beauty of what we're doing here is that rather than having 6 or 7 searches, it's all done in one, and literally taken me, as I promised, 30 seconds. The idea of this session was to sort of have a bit of Q&A. So I'm just going to pause for a moment and see if I do have any questions from the floor. If not, we can wrap up a few minutes early, and I can point you to a couple of resources from our end that can help you if you want some more information.
I have a question, Luke. Does the tool pick up names in social media?
The tool doesn't include social media at the moment, but we can help you do that using another method.
Okay, thanks.
What would be, I guess, the next step if you're kind of unsure where some of the status checks or perhaps trademarks that you might want to work in the future, but not now? What would you suggest is the next best steps?
Yeah, I think the next best step is to probably, the first thing is do this a couple of, have a top 5 list of names that are possibly available, and then it would be either engage your internal legal team or an external party to do what's called clearance searches for you. And that would be having a look at the trademark landscape in a lot more detail, across a lot more classes, to look at things like, because it's not just, for example, if I look at I Spend Dollars, well, that might look good in this particular as it stands. There may be another brand called I Spend Dollars with the Z at the end, in which case my trademark and all of my business may be confusingly similar, and that's not allowed. So the next step is effectively doing more detailed search, getting domain landscape reports done so that you can understand, actually, well, .com, everyone needs their .com, but what about the domain name in my local, is the .com.au available? And if not, what do I plan to do, or what am I going to do, or ask my business for budget to go and get these names? That would be my next steps.
Thanks, Luke.
No worries. So I think if anyone has seen something of interest in this particular in what we've seen today, please do reach out to me via LinkedIn, or directly via my email address, which is luke.richards@clarivate.com. You can actually just grab my my email address and my phone number from LinkedIn anyway. I would also suggest that it's probably a good idea to sign up to our newsletters on the clarivate.com website, navigating through to CompuMark, and then you can get updates from all of these things. Other than that, I will give you all back 8 minutes of your day. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to discussing more branding insights over the next coming weeks. Thank you very much.